podcast.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to what I like to find and describe as this time of the evening as, it's my favourite waste of time, this kind of time of the evening. Why would I be saying that? Well, there is a reason, because we have the man behind that fabulous song, which you've all heard, you've all sung along to. This man has been a friend of mine for many a year, and he's been friends with Pete for at least 5 minutes. And he is the one and the only Mr. Owen Paul, everybody.
Welcome.
I am the one and only.
Sorry, Mr. Chesney Hawks. Sorry, wrong one. Oh, by the way, Owen, he's like, Hawks has ducked me about 8 times now, and he keeps going, yeah. And now he's so famous. He goes, yeah, ring my people, and my people will ring you, and all that. I'm like, Ches, just do it next week. And then he goes, all right, ring Chrissy.
Yeah, that's like when people get in touch with me. I look at Len, who's my manager, and I say, Len, we need to speak to my people. She goes, I am your people.
Yes. Nobody. Let's get something straight here, Owen. I've tried a couple of times to go direct to you, and there's this kind of, hello, you have to go through Lynn, and she's hard as nails, Lynn. She's great.
Well, she is, and the reason, it was one of those weird things in my career that Lynn was kind of somebody I invented in my head, right?
And Partridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a person that was the stopgap before you could get to me, which put money on my price.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And then Lynn really became that person. So Lynn manages comedians and all sorts of things, and she's a brilliant piece of work, right? And when I said to her, every time somebody asks us to do a thing for charity or children in need or something, or a festival or whatever it might be, I said, if I've got you at the front, I said, that'll put on 300 quid.
Oh, yeah, clever.
Because they think I've got staff.
Yeah, of course. Plus, obviously, you have to pay her 300 quid. So it works itself out.
Well, that's completely right, because what happens in the end is that I have to then factor in her price into whatever gig we get, which is only fair.
But also, may I just say, having worked for Lynn and yourself in that order, she's really good at what she does. So
she's absolutely brilliant. No. I'll give you an example, right? We were doing a thing for Dutch radio in Holland, and I was supposed to do a thing at the BBC. They were recording it in the BBC studios in Oxford Street, right? The famous one, Broadcasting House, right? And we were walking in towards recording the thing, and Lynn sees Chris Evans through the window, right? And so I go into the studio for the Dutch thing that I'm doing, and it's going to be live on their big, gigantic station over there. And Lynn goes, I'll be right back. And she goes in and then disappears, right? And then I go in and do the sound check, and I'm interviewing, and I'm talking the usual rubbish showbiz crap, right? And then she walks in at me and goes, Chris Evans says we'll go for the breakfast show if you can get in here in the next 5 minutes.
No.
I remember that. That was when he was on, was it Radio 1 or Radio 2? It was Radio 2, wasn't it?
Radio 2 breakfast show, right?
Yeah.
So within 10 minutes, right, we have to then negotiate. Well, she does, not me. Lynn has to negotiate with the Dutch people. Can you let Owen go for 10 minutes? And now we're on national radio on Radio 2, BBC, all across the country. And I'm now talking and singing live and all the stuff and blah, 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 blah. And that's the kind of person she is.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, I just, just to fill people in, because obviously I've been lucky enough to back you on a few shows over the last. We did it first about 15 years ago, wasn't it? When we first played together, it was 4 Good Men we played with, didn't we? Together.
That's right. Listen, don't ever
supergroup.
Listen, don't ever say back you.
You know what I mean. I sit behind you. I sit behind you.
Listen. There's a famous story about Mick Jagger and Charlie Watts, right? Where Charlie Watts was missing or something, and he tried to wake him up, and Mick Jagger was like looking for him and trying to find him and wake him up. He went, get up. You're my drummer. He went, no, you're my singer. And I think that's completely true.
Well,
I
it depends.
think
I think you're only as good as each other. I think
so.
I still maintain a goalkeeper and a striker is the same as a drummer and a frontman. And if you've
No,
got a rubbish
but
one, you're going to lose.
no, completely. And obviously, Smiley, as a Chelsea fan that I know you are, yeah, which is your big error, but never mind. But I always think when I'm talking to my children, and or in any scenario, I always talk about it in football terms.
Yeah, always.
I
Yeah.
always do. I always do.
Yeah.
Right? I go. Listen. I say to my son Josh, you know what? You're a great striker here, and we're good at this, and we've got a nice Christmas coming and all that. I said, but you're nothing without a midfield and a defence. I said, so unless you get all that piece together and all, I said, you're going to lose here.
Yeah.
And I always,
this is what I'm saying, and I've been like I see frontmen like yourself as strikers, right? You're the goal scorers, you're the glory hunters, right?
I'm just the guy that
a good drummer. You're going to let goals in, right?
I am just the guy that brings it home.
Yeah, exactly right.
Can I just for one moment say,
go on, bass player, go on.
No, bass players are the defenders.
Yes, centre backs. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's
if you've got a solid goalkeeper and a solid defence, or a solid drummer and a solid bass player,
you're not going to let the goals in, man.
Over the top of it.
No, Pete, I completely agree. Right, I always think as bass players like Russ Carr, that Smiley knows, and similar guys. He's a great bass player, right? I always think of those guys. He plays for the Blockheads and others.
He does
right?
Now, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, he's done better than doing my gig.
He loves your gig, though. Honestly, Owen, he amazes me. He turns so much stuff down to do your gigs, and I'll go, "Are you doing Owen's gig again?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, did you have nothing in the boot?" He goes, "No. I had like better paid and nicer gigs, but I just love doing Owen's gigs." And then he looks at me and went, "Why are you here?" I was like, "I love doing Owen's gigs as well."
The same thing, yes.
Yeah, man.
So anyway, in the same strategy, I think of Russ Carr as in a back three or a back four. In the football sense, right?
Football terminology is the middle ground.
Yes, and like Russ Carr is the bass player. He is like Virgil van Dijk to me.
Oh, I like it. Good analogy. Good analogy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very solid analogy.
Make sure you tell him.
John Stones for you, Pete. John Stones. There you go.
I think.
Work it out, Owen. Work it out.
Shut up. I think Virgil is a masterpiece of a human.
Oh,
it's gorgeous.
He's brilliant.
It's gorgeous to watch.
He's as chips.
And I think Russ Carr, bass player, is that guy who just sits there, never flapped. Me and Smiley being in sound checks where it's like proper stress, and we're buying, and there's like thousands of people in front of us, and we've got 5 seconds to get a thing together, and Russ Carr's going dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. And we all know that him and Smiley are going to lock in during the gig, even if we don't know the songs we're about to play.
Which is most of the time.
Which has happened quite a few times.
Yeah.
Right? And then suddenly we go, bum, 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 and I look around at Smiley and Russ and go, we good here? They're like, yeah. I go, right, okay, go, let's go.
And that's the point where you let the front man be the front man, and because the show is in your hands. As long as you've got a good solid unit behind you, never ever take away ever a great front man and what they do for the evening, because they are above and beyond. They make the show. They create the magic. They create the sparkle, and we lock it all in. But you know,
I did a gig a couple of weeks ago at Swansea Arena, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it was jam packed, 3,500, something like that. And I was a special guest of a guy called Mal Pope, who's written loads of songs for Elton John and all sorts, right? And I did the gig, and we went off. I only sang 2 songs, right? And then we walked off, and we went back in the interval time, because it was a theatre show, so there was an interval. How very mature.
Very, very grown up. I like that,
yeah, I don't like don't like intervals. I want to go straight through an hour and a half, go bang, leave. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was an interval. So he gets me in the interval and he goes, "Wow, you know how to play a crowd, don't you?" I went, "That's my job." I said, "That's my job."
With two songs, you made
I
that.
took-
There you go.
I had 2 songs, and I said, "Mate, that is my job." I said, "Your job is to make sure that when I go there, you do the song that I'm doing,
But
and you
had
make
the-
up."
But they had you on the Rewind festivals, didn't they? And you were the
Yes.
opening act, weren't you? You and Jenny Bellstar, wasn't it? And Lizzie.
From
Lizzie
Westworld.
Lizzie West, Lizzie Westworld, right?
Yeah.
And you were the ones who opened the whole thing, right?
Yes.
And those things were 20, 30,000 people, and
Yes.
you were off you go. Go on then, start it
Yeah.
all off. And loads of people I know went and maybe weren't as aware of you as they were when they came back, and then a lot of them would go, "You know him, don't you?" I'm like, yeah, he's good, isn't he? Like, yeah, he's brilliant. But they just hadn't probably had the chance. But that's where you earn your spurs, man. When you get parachuted in at something like that, because those people are there ready to shoot you down, right? They've got their guns ready. It's like, come on in, impress me. Come on in, festival, but I'm going to shoot you there. And I know what you're like, man. I know how you work a crowd. Like,
When we were doing that thing, I think it was Jenny Bellstar,
lovely Chen.
Below Some.
Yep, I worked with him last Friday. Lovely man.
Lovely Neville.
Yeah, lovely Nev.
Did you do the gig?
I did, yeah. I did a gig. I was drumming for Gene Loves Jezebel, and Belouis Sun were on before us. So
Okay,
I hung out with Nev quite a lot, actually. He's a lovely man.
He's a lovely guy, right? Yeah. So it was me, Jenny Bellstar, Elizabeth Westwood, Westworld, whatever you want to call her, and whatever, and it was all very interesting how it all got pieced together. And then we rehearsed it for like one day for like 45 minutes, if that. And then suddenly we're touring all over the country, and we did Dublin, Northern Ireland, Belfast, amazing. Liverpool, Manchester, bang. And like you said, Smiley, we went first.
Yeah.
Because the booker knew that I was in charge.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, that's holding an audience. This is what I mean. And then you can go to festivals, especially the Rewind ones.
So the MD at Rewind, right, told the booker, we're going to do it in this order. I think it was Jenny, then me, then somebody. And then they saw the rehearsal and went, no, we go Owen first.
Ah, great. That's it.
And then the main booker, a guy called Nick Billinghurst, said, no, Owen's first. Oh, actually, it was Jack Gray.
Oh, right, okay.
Jack Gray at Rewind. He said, no, Owen goes first.
Yeah.
Owen will boss it. Comes midday, he'll boss it, and then everyone else comes in and does their thing.
But that's what you need to do. You can't ease into a festival. This is what people don't understand. You got to take the situation. You start there, and then everybody raises their game.
Of course,
to that level. You know what I mean? It's like,
of course,
it's not rocket science.
We were playing festivals, as you said, like 25,000, 30,000 people, right? And I know I'm not known for that much, but I've got a massive hit in my hand, so I'm going to trade on that. I'm going to do the thing, blah, 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 blah. And then, after me is coming Nick Kershaw. Then it's Tony Hadley.
Yeah.
Then it's Alison Moyet. Then it's Bananarama.
Yeah. Amazing. I did it. I've told this story before. I did it with From the Jam, right? And I was drumming away. And I looked to my right, and Rick Astley was just standing watching.
There you go.
And then afterwards he came on, he went, "Man, I'd love to do that." And I was like, come on, mate, keep going. You'll do something for it. You'll end up playing with the Foo Fighters, Rick. Hang in there, brother. But
eventually.
Those Rewind festivals are a Clang in themselves, aren't they? Because there's all the people, and they're all really nice. Like I didn't meet anybody I didn't like.
Well, it's funny you say that. I mean, and I think that's completely true. Is that what I found is that, say somebody like Midjour, right?
Right. Yeah.
Who I've never met in my life before Rewind. Oh. So there's me, Howard Jones, Nick Kershaw, Lamal, Bananarama, Alison Moyet. I could go on and on and on, right? Please and the way they sort of manipulated us in the record company game was that we never were to talk to them. They were like the enemy. So in the 80s, they're like the enemy. So Simon Le Bon, enemy, blah, enemy, blah, blah. But actually, by the time we get to do the festivals like Let's Rock or Rewind, we're all over it.
Yeah,
and
of course.
We're finished with that. And it's like, we've now all got children. We bring them backstage. They meet their children. We go, I say to Midge, how's they getting on? How's your family? How's Danny, his main other writer, and blah. And then it's all cool, and there's no arguments of any kind. And guys like Tony Hadley are the same. Steve Norman's the same. I know you work with.
Yeah.
Steve's the same. And we all got on like a house on fire. Back then, we were kept apart.
Yeah.
Which was really, that's really poor.
That's what we were saying. That's what Steve was saying about when I was trying to quiz him about the sort of back in the day, whether there was a kind of rivalry between Spandau and Duran Duran.
There wasn't.
Well, yeah, they tried to play it up in the press, but basically they were really good mates going out on the piss. But it's like, well, you've all grown up now. And was it you, Smiley, said sort of most of the people doing that these days are sort of just glad to be out on the circuit.
Absolutely. Oh, mate, 1,000,000%. Because the thing is, we all know as musicians, right? This is, I mean, you'll agree with this. Like, this is a hard time at the moment. Everybody's at a bit of a wall, and to be
Smiley,
everything we're all doing,
Smiley,
we're all grateful for.
Smiley is the worst time I've ever experienced, ever.
I agree, mate. I agree, and from every angle as well. Like literally every musician I know, however big or small or busy or not, everybody is being affected at the moment.
Yeah,
it's coming down from up here. And I said this analogy the other day. See if you agree with this, right? I think that your average kind of mid-50s guy or whatever and his missus have put a little pot of money away to go to like 6-7 gigs in the autumn that they can go and see their favourite bands from yesteryear and all that. And then Taylor Swift flew in and they did all their money. They took their grandkids for the weekend and they basically spent all that money. And then they went, oh, come on, but we've still got to go for a gig. So come on, let's put some more money together. And then Oasis announced their gigs.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've done all their money. Everybody's going to see Taylor Swift and Oasis. So I blame Taylor and Noel. There you go.
I blame tribute acts.
Oh, God.
Well,
we'll get on to them in a minute. Right?
Well, actually, I was going to call that one out because obviously, listener, you won't know this, but we know this. We were talking about tribute acts before this, and hopefully Smiley will share some of his great names. But Owen, you were saying that, there is this thing at the moment that actually, people aren't booking you because they're going, well, actually, unless you drop your prices, we'll book a tribute act for
we'll book the Bee Gees for 400 quid.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly. And that's, this has been going on a while. And
the punter doesn't give a shit. No. He has a few beers. He's staying alive, blah, and he goes home, goes, whoa, what a great night that was.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's the problem.
Well, I can't say much, having gone out on a tour with supporting a Creedence Clearwater Revival tribute act earlier last year.
That sounds like a stretch, doesn't
it? They were great. Don't not Pete. Pete, Pete, don't you, Smiley?
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, they're great. They're fantastic.
Guys, there's a tribute festival that's been going for years called Glaston Budget. You guys aware of that?
Hey, Smiley,
budget has grown into like 20,000-30,000, doesn't it?
Smiley, I've played it.
Have you played it?
Yes.
So have I.
As a tribute to yourself.
Yeah.
No.
Paul Owen.
No. me and Derek Forbes from Simple Minds.
Oh, when you did the ex-Simple Minds thing, did you do that?
They booked us for that.
I remember the story of that. Owen, go with me here, right? I remember the story because obviously you were ex-Simple Minds and you had the connections and all that. But I think it was mainly Derek wanted to be slightly obscure and not particularly go down the Hitscapade route. And James Newell, who we love dearly, right, said he was at that gig and he bumped into Forbes about 10 minutes before going on stage. And I think you were headlining, right? And he said, hey, Derek, let's have a look at the set list. And he just went, I don't recognise any of these songs. And Derek was like, oh, I know. And he's like, you're going to die on your ass. Like, there wasn't any. You didn't, like, there was no, like, Don't You Forget About Me or anything, right? It was all really kind of obscure first album, unless you knew Simple Minds. Like, even in Four Good Men, I used to play drums on it. I didn't know half of them because Forbes would be going, oh, yeah, we're going to do this one. I used to just look at him and go, all right, is anybody going to know that? You know?
I remember it totally super well, right?
Yeah.
And then it was actually a booker that came up with the idea of XSM.
Yeah.
A guy called Pete Barton.
Oh, I know Pete. Yeah.
Well, that's the very Pete we were talking about.
Pete's a great guy, man. Pete's keeping music live at the moment because he's the one who is actually booking people.
Yes, he is. And Pete Barton said to Derek, I think you and Brian, my brother Brian McGee, who was a drummer in Simple Minds, he said, Pete Barton says to both of them, I think this is after me and Smiley done Four Good Men, right? Yeah. And Pete Barton saw me do it at that Glasgow gig we did. Yeah. The big festival, giant one, right? Yeah. And so anyway, Pete Barton says to Derek and Brian, my brother, he says, I think you guys have every right to go out as ex-Simple Minds because the songs are yours as much as Jim and Charlie's. Mm. Right? He said, but I think you should have Owen as your singer to sell it and bring it home. Yeah. Right? And that's exactly what happened. But anyway, to get back to set lists, right? So we then did a tour of all the O2s. O2 Glasgow, O2 Sheffield, O2 Birmingham, O2 blah, 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 Islington, London, blah. You know the ones. We've all played them, right? Okay? And we've done like 3 or 4 shows then, and it's Derek Forbes' set list. And I'm looking at it going, like you just said, we're going to die on our ass here. Right? So after show, few beers, arguments, fights, punching, blah. Brian and Derek are famous for punching each other, but anyway. And blah, blah. And then suddenly the next morning, we're getting to the next show. I can't remember what it was. I think it's Birmingham, right? And they went, Owen, you're in charge of the set list. That's your job. Oh. I went, okay, yeah. Oh, I said,
don't you forget about me.
so I say, okay, can we forget all that bullshit at the front?
Yeah, do the hits. yeah, exactly.
And can we play da 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 da? Come in, come out of the rain. I said, can we go? Yeah. I said, can we go with that first?
Yeah.
And, right, and then they said, okay, but no, I want to play an instrumental thing. And I went, no, Derek, no. I said, you just said I'm in charge of the set list. I said, so that instrumental, which I might add is a brilliant instrumental called Theme from Great Cities.
Yeah.
It's an amazing track, right? Yeah. So here's the sort of musical technical problem. It's the musical technical, but it's also a problem, right? Yeah. So I say to Derek, no. I said, no, we're going to go in with come in, come out of the rain. I said, I'm going to smash it. I said, then we can go into something obscure. Then we'll do Glittering Prize. Yeah, woo! And whatever, right? And Promise You a Mackerel. Yeah. Right? And away we go, right? I said, Derek, here's my deal, right? And then I never realised I kind of understood what he was saying. I said, okay, themes from great cities. I said, why don't I go off at the end of the gig? I said, and you stay, because that's you, and then you play the instrumental on your own with Brian.
Yep.
As the encore. Mm-hmm. He went, yeah, but by then my fingers will be bleeding.
They'll be alive and kicking.
And I was like, oh, never thought of that. I said, okay. He said, because it's an absolute ball buster. Do pow, boom, boom, pow, 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 and he's playing it like 100 miles an hour. It's an amazing thing to watch, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I've watched it so many times. Anyway, I did the deal. I talked her into it. It was a great encore. Him and Brian, I was nowhere to be seen because it's Simple Minds. Come on.
The real deal. The real deal. Here we go.
The guys.
Tribute band.
The guy. exactly. The guys who wrote it are doing it in front of your face.
That's original members. There's a big discussion going on at the moment about all this. What is a tribute band and what isn't? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm sure you've got the same problem with From the Jam.
Yeah.
And Big Country, for that matter.
Yeah.
Is there actually anybody left in Big Country?
Bruce.
Bruce is still there.
Just Bruce. That's it.
Just Bruce, yeah.
Mark's left now, and it's literally just Bruce. But let's be honest, Bruce was the mainstay of the main band. So while Foxton was in From the Jam, that wasn't a tribute band. He's not doing it anymore, right?
No.
So it's technically, all hail Russell, and he's brilliant and everything. But from a technicality, when you present the package, From the Jam, all right, brilliant. Which one's From the Jam? None of them.
None of them.
That's a fact.
It's interesting because when we had Baz on from the Stranglers, I mean they're literally one person away from being a tribute act.
I know, but look at the one person. This is what I'm saying. If you've got Bruce Foxton in From the Jam, that's From the Jam because he was one of the three.
No, I agree. If you've got Bruce Foxton,
Derek Forbes,
then
that's proper.
Then you're not a tribute.
Exactly right.
If you haven't got that, you're done.
Exactly right. And I think this is where people, the line is blurred with those 60s tours are the best ones. I did a few of them back in the 90s. When I was
like
Tremolos,
the Searchers and the Tremolos,
and Dave D, Dozy, Beaky, Mick, and Titch. You meet them and go, "You all right, man? How you doing? Who's the big fella? That's Titch." And you go, "You haven't thought this one through, fellas, have you really?" But they were all like, "Oh yeah, the drummer. The drummer, is it the original drummer? Well, kind of,
Well,
he joined after all the hits had gone. Yeah."
We met him. That's like I played in with our mutual friend Andy Smiley. He had a covers band with this guy who was what was his name? He was the bloke who came in to play guitar in the Clash after all the
Vince
White.
Vince White.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. So he came in after everybody else had gone. I mean, that's like, they become a tribute act, really, don't they?
It's a fine line. Tribute world's a crazy world, man. As I say, that Glaston budget, right? I remember my vivid memory. And when I was there, it was about 10,000 people, and who did I play with? Oh, I played. You're not going to believe this when I tell you, right?
No, I will. I know you're a whore.
I am a whore. So the opening act on the lunch thing was a Travis tribute with me playing Fran Healy. Don't ask me how I did it, but it went down really well. And then at 8:00 on the main stage, I was Noel Gallagher.
What?
And then I got up to play drums with the Robbie Williams tribute, right? I did them all. By this point, I was spanned because I've been drinking all day. And right at the end of the night, the final band were Guns N' Roses, right? And I was like going, this is amazing. And Slash was there with his hat. And my abiding memory was walking back to my tent with another beer, and Slash was putting his amp in his Peugeot 205, still with his hat on. And it was like the reality thing. I just stood there. I couldn't quite comprehend it, and I just kind of looked at someone and just went, "Tribute world, eh? Cool." There you go. It's mental.
It's absolutely no, but actually, you're right. It's mental, right? I remember I did a show. It wasn't Glaston budget, which we headlined. Smiley, thanks.
Yeah, I know, mate. I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And we weren't a tribute, but anyway, I remember doing another show where there was lots of tribute acts around, and there was a David Essex tribute, right?
Oh wow, Dave from Essex.
Yeah, Dave from Essex, right? So anyway, what I thought was funny, I didn't think it was funny until the guy I was with brought it up. He went, so we see him in the car park, right? And he's got the Dave from Essex clothes that would be David Essex's day wear.
Oh,
come on.
Okay, hang on a minute. This guy's got it going on, man. Did he look like him?
Yes.
They've always got to have a little bit of something about
them. Yeah, he looked like him, right?
Those turns believe they are those people.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to.
Right? They
This guy is in the car park wearing David Essex daywear clothing.
Amazing.
It blew my mind. I went, wow, this is brilliant.
Just to finish off the tribute thing, I got to tell you the story. So when I was doing the Oasis thing, I was kind of jumping from Noel to and I was drumming a bit, and I was just filling in all the gaps. Anyway, the singer really took the Liam thing to the extreme, right? And to the point where I think we played in Dubai or something like that. And anyway, I was Noel, and we got to the finale, and it was Live Forever. And the drums start, and he's like, "All right, come on, everybody, live forever." And I'm frantically tuning up, right? I'm thinking, boom, boom, but I'm like, this is gonna be really close. Got it, and missed the pedal.
Oh,
and he went maybe, and there was no chord, right? And he turned around and looked at me, and I was like, and he threw a tambourine at me, right?
Oh, hello.
So anyway, I get through the gig. It was only the last song, and we went backstage, and there was like a kind of like a horseshoe thing, and he was over one end and I was over the other end, and he was giving it like, yeah man, great gig, yeah, nice one, and he was like, yeah, great gig, and I just said, yeah, you ever chuck a tambourine at me again, and I'll ram it up your arse. Right?
I'll fucking shoot you.
And he came down the corner, and he's like, yeah, right, and I just went, take your Parker off, and we'll sort this. And let me remind you of something. You're from Reading, right? And that was it. And I never worked with him again. God bless him. You know what I mean? But it was. I've known a few of them. They stay in character, and some of them, hats off to them. My mate who does the Robbie one, he does a Michael Bublé one. Like, he is so thorough. Like, and he's made a career, a 25-year career.
No.
He probably earns more money than we do, Owen. You know what I mean?
Hey, Smiley. I'm certain they earn more money than you and I.
Yeah.
But it's a borderline between really good, really professional, and an illness.
Absolutely. Luckily, he's on the right side of the line, Mark.
I went to see a Pink Floyd tribute act earlier in the year as well. Actually,
was it the Aussie one?
No. I can't remember what they were called. No, they're an English one, but they were fantastic. I mean, literally, it was like putting the records on.
Yeah, note for note. The good ones, the ones at the top, the bootleg Beatles and the ABBA tribute, and
they're brilliant.
Alien Floyd, they're better than the real thing. If you
want to
go,
There was a few years back, a mate of mine, this was obviously pre-COVID days, a mate of mine in one weekend went to see the real Stones and the counterfeit Stones in the same weekend.
Wow.
And he said the counterfeit Stones were like way better.
Yeah,
they would be because they're about 50
Well,
years
I went and saw Paul Owen. He was brilliant. You know what I mean?
No.
Come on. Right.
Owen Paul most.
I mean, Owen Paul most is amazing, man. That's amazing. So we need some Clangs. Pete, line him up. Let's get some Clangs out of this band. Come on.
I've lost track. We've been waffling on for ages. So come on. I want to take it back a little bit, actually, because when you had your big hit, what was that like? Was it because it wasn't just a big hit? It was a fucking massive hit.
Monster hit.
I mean, how insane was that? What sort of environment did it throw you into? What were the kind of people you were suddenly kind of being surrounded by? And was it as mad as I kind of think it probably was?
Yes and no.
Okay.
First of all, I was managed by a guy called Peter Powell, Radio 1 DJ.
Man, I never knew that.
Yeah.
He was my manager.
Wow.
But it wasn't allowed to be public because the BBC didn't approve. Right?
Okay.
So we invented another guy called Russ, who was the front to be my manager. But actually Pete was my manager.
Okay.
But originally, before I was making records, I was Pete's researcher on Radio 1. So I would get his new releases every week, like Frankie Goes to Hollywood or Duran Duran, whatever, and say, play this, don't play that, play this, don't play that, blah, blah, blah. Right? So I got quite involved. Like, for example, I remember I went through all the records because Pete was never there. And then I go, he'd get in on a Friday night, and I'd go, right, I've got this one. The first picture of you. I went, this is going to be
massive. Summer.
I'm like, this is going to be massive, mate.
Ah.
I said, you need to start playing this before everyone else.
Wow.
And that became my job, right?
Fantastic.
And then it meant that I also went to Top of the Pops and other things, Radio 1 road shows and stuff like that. So I was very used to the celebrity thing. And then suddenly I made a record myself that went really big and global. I was completely comfortable in my own skin in that whole scenario. It didn't bother me at all. What I did bother me was the effect it had on my family.
Right.
And so I was completely fine with it. And I was like, okay, it is what it is. You do the thing, blah, 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 blah. And I remember during 1986, 87, I think it's my mum's 50th, right? And I said, I was living in London by then, right? So my mum's from Glasgow. So I'm going to have to go back to Glasgow for my mum's party for our 50th, right? And then my brother John, who's like my angel, who looks over me, and he said, oh, we've got a problem. People are in the garden and hiding in the hedges because they think you're coming to this. And then they're and the venue where the 50th party was, there's hundreds of people all around it.
Wow.
So then I suddenly thought, well, this is wrong. I don't want this to be about me. I want it to be about her.
But you want to be there for your mum.
But I want to be there. That's my mum.
Yeah.
So we then came up with an idea because Pete Powell, my manager, is smart. He went, why don't you say you're in Glasgow to play somewhere else? And we announce it like you're playing in the city centre. And then they'll all go there.
Clever.
You just don't show up and you do the thing with your mum's party and everything happens.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it went.
Wow. The downside of fame. There's a lot of it. You know what I mean? Go and watch that boy band documentary at the moment on
I actually, I've heard it's very good.
Oh my God, it's harrowing. Actually.
Yeah, but those guys had it worse than me, right? Because they had guys like Simon Cowell that we both know and whatever, and there was like no room for maneuver here. You can't be yourself. You do what they say. It's 10:30. Be here. Do that. Say that. Smile at that. Do the video here. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. And I was less like that, but it was starting to come. Mid-80s, that was starting to come. They were starting to box me in. They did after I did Favourite Waste of Time, which was complete accident of a record, because I was a rock act. The Smiley knows I'm a rock guy.
Oh yeah.
Right? Favourite Waste of Time I did as a whim. Now I don't think there's anything wrong with any artist of any kind having a whim. Right? Right?
Yeah.
My whim in that moment happened to be a bubblegum, sugary, summery, woohoo! Right?
Wow.
It was the biggest mistake I could have made. Because then my record company, Sony, wanted 15 versions of that, or they wouldn't give me the budget for videos, or promotion, or tours, or whatever, unless I gave them 15 more of that.
Wow.
And I said to them, my boss was Muff Winwood, right?
Wow.
Yeah. He was my boss. I'd say, Muff, you guys signed me as a rock act. You saw me at the Marquee or wherever it was. You liked that and you signed me as that. Why are you trying to make me... I said, ask Broads to do that.
Yeah.
They'll do it. They'll do whatever you want.
The trouble is with that as well is you were the package, the song and the look. Went hand in hand, didn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the Ovation guitar and the long hair and all that.
And Smiley, me, T-shirt, beach.
That's it. Yeah.
The biggest selling poster the Sun has ever had.
Oh my God! Someone's ringing me through my computer. Sorry about that. Yeah, absolutely, and it's iconic. I mean, it's iconic. But the thing is, it's like it's really interesting. You're saying that now. It's like the worst thing that could have happened.
It was.
Genuinely, hand on heart. So if you hadn't put that single out, do you think you would have gone down the rocker route and it would have taken off in another angle?
Of course I believe that.
Good.
100% I do.
Good answer.
Of course I believe that. But it never came to pass. And then I tried to sort of even pretend I wasn't that guy.
Yeah, once
right?
It's out,
and then people would see me in the street and go, "You're that Owen Paul guy." I go, "No, he's much taller than me." And I would deny it. And then I began to work behind the scenes as a producer and arranger, worked with Mike and the Mechanics, and did a Eurovision record and toured with this and toured with that, all behind the scenes. And I liked it that way because I didn't want to be the Owen Paul guy. I actually used my real name, which is Owen McGee, with Smiley Nose, and that's how I became known as good at my craft, sort of thing. Yeah. And then about 20 years later, the TV show Watchdog, BBC show, had a thing called Rogue Traders on it, right? Okay, and then I got an email saying BBC Rogue Traders, Matt Allwright would like Owen to come in the middle of this when we're trying to bust a scam footage, would like Owen to walk in and sing for you, waste of time, right? So I said, okay. So I thought I was getting scammed for tax evasion or something. So I was quite reticent. So I said, I'm going to track down a number for the BBC for you. Then I'm going to call it. Then I'll know you're in the BBC, right? And that's how we came to an arrangement. So they said, okay, can you go to Kent on such and such a day? We'll be filming this guy and this company that are very dodgy and stealing money from pensioners, and it's very bad. Usual stuff, right? And I said, okay, what do I have to do? He said, well, you just have to walk in when we say go, and you go, you're mad, and that's it. And then you go, I went, fine, I'll do it. Right, fine. So I go down to Kent, I think it's Maidstone in Kent, and we get there, and they've got this house in Maidstone, and it's got cavity walls. Yeah. Imagine that with people in the cavities.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's scary.
Right?
Yeah.
Most haunted. So I get there and there's people in the cavities, all the crew and things, and they've got there's a clock on the mantelpiece, but it's a camera in the zero. Right? And then they've got a thing and a thing and a thing, whatever. And Matt Allwright says, right, Owen, do you know what we're doing? I go, he's the presenter. Matt Allwright's the presenter. Google him or tweet him, right? So he says to me, you know what you're doing? I went, yeah. I said, just walk in and sing the song when you say it, right? Well, not exactly. I went, what? He said, well, we've got the guy from the company agreed to come to a meeting to this house at midday. This is like 10 a.m. He said, they're going to come at midday. He said, and you're going to be there because we've told him that Auntie Jessie, who's giving you all the money, wants to run it by her nephew, me, in front of him.
Whoa, this is all getting a bit dangerous, man.
Right? So I go, what? He said, yeah, so we've told him she's got a nephew who wants to just check before she signs all the documents to give you all her money. And I said, what? And that's me. He went, yeah. So I then have to go into this room, the living room bit, right? And I've got an earpiece that we have now, right? But you can't see it. It's a better one than that. You can't see it at all, right? And then my Auntie Jessie is to my right. And then me and her sit in total silence, talking rubbish for, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, waiting on this guy showing up for the meeting, right? So, but they tell me through my headphones that you've got to get him to say blah, blah, and blah.
Oh, wow.
Otherwise, we can't convict him. I'm like, are you kidding me?
This is surreal.
Right, so I say, how, there is a punchline to this, mate.
I hope so, because I'm
there
really
is, no, there is. No, there is. There's a punchline, okay. Right? So I say to them through the thing, talk back, I go, okay, so how long have you been filming this company? They went, 4 months. I went, right. And I said, and you're telling me I've got one go at this? He went, yeah. you've got to get him to say the thing. And then he says, Jessie, they'll tell Jessie through her headphones, once Owen's got them to say the thing that will convict them, she'll touch my arm and go, Owen, sing the song. Right? So this has all been filmed, right? And it all happens, and it comes to pass. I'm having a breakdown. Jeez. Right? I'm having a nervous breakdown. I've been on telly for 20 years. I've done anything like this for 20 years plus. I am like, what? And I've got to get this guy in one go, right? So blah, 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 blah. He says, oh, Granny, you need to get this security system. And you sign here and we take £10,000, but it'll really work for you. Blah, 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 blah. And I went, well, explain that to me. And he explains a bit to me. I go, well, tell me again. Because I'm still waiting on her to touch my arm.
Touch my arm. I went, come on, there it is.
I'm like, come on, Jess, touch my arm. Touch my arm. Right? Nothing happens. I'm like, oh, I ain't got him. So I go, okay, let's run that by me again. And I get him to do it again. He tells me the whole thing again, blah, blah, blah. Then,
do you not know what it is that you're trying to get out of him? Do you know
I don't know.
So you're trying to get out of it, and then she will touch you when... But
I don't
know what it is.
I don't know whatever the exact line is, right? But there's a legal something where he incriminates himself.
Okay. But you don't know what that line is, so you're trying to extract something you don't know.
It's got something to do with the English language. He's got to say it a certain way, blah, 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 right? Right? So anyway, the amount of time goes by, I keep trying him, and I realise she's not touched me, and I'm like, shit, I'm gonna talk absolute garbage here. So I'm like, yeah, it's I say, I'm really happy you're treating Jessie really nice and all that. It's really good and whatever. I said, but I'm really worried about Jessie. She's old. She doesn't really know what she's doing. I am just waffling rubbish to keep that guy in the room. And I'm just trying to get him to say another thing and another thing, another thing, another thing. And then Jessie touches my arm. And I go, you man!
What's the relevance of the song? I don't get the connection.
What is the relevance of the
What's
song?
the connection?
I will tell you right now, right? And I didn't realise this until after the fact, right? In their footage that they've been filming for like 4 months, he kept on bullying her, saying, stop wasting my fucking time.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
Now the BBC hadn't told me that. Right? So they had like endless amounts of footage of this guy going, sign here, Granny, stop wasting my fucking time. Stop wasting my fucking time. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, here's the punchline.
You're my favourite wasted time.
No. So the show gets broadcast Wednesday night, BBC One, and Robinson's the presenter of Watchdog, and then it goes into Rogue Traders. And I don't know about you, Smiley, but sometimes we underestimate, even now, because everything's multimedia and all over the place, but something like the BBC or ITV, they're still massive.
That's massive, man.
They're still massive. They're still massive, right? Yeah. So there's like the wrong side of 15 million people watch that show.
Wow.
That I'm in, right? And then here's the other thing that me and Smiley haven't discussed. It's also true, is that bookers watch the telly as well.
All the time. Did you? So you got work out of...
No, I haven't done a show for 20 odd years.
And then they suddenly started giving you a show.
And then suddenly, rewind, let's rock, blah. Suddenly went, Owen Paul's not dead.
He's alive! Amazing, man.
I'm just trying to think how we can get one of your song titles into some ridiculous BBC scam program. Smiley.
Yeah,
amazing. What, one of mine?
Yeah. Let's go, Smiley.
I swear to God, I had done a gig for 20 odd years. Jeez. Then suddenly I'm off the mall, and I'm thinking, shit, I better rehearse.
That's
hilarious.
And then I never looked back.
Wow, man, that's really cool. That's
insane story.
That is probably, of all these podcasts, that's probably the most bonkers story we've heard from anybody.
No, I've got
with Derek Forbes. You know what I mean?
I've got another one.
No.
Right, I've got another one. Right, yeah, so this is like 1981-ish, and in my early sort of I'm in a band. I can't really play. I'm a bit rubbish, but I look amazing. I look like a pop star, but I don't sound like one or play like one. But everyone knew I was a pop star right away. Even when I was at school, they thought I was a pop star. So, but I can't do anything, right? But I'm in a band, and we got a few gigs and did a few shows. And we did one in Liverpool with a certain person called Pete Wiley from the Mighty Wah, the Mighty Wah, right? And me and him got on really well. This is like 1981, 1981, something like that, right? And we got on really well. And he was immediate. He went, mate, this band's rubbish, but you're a pop star. Blah, 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 right? And we kept in touch thereafter. And about 9 months went by. And Smiley, you're going to love this story. I'm telling you now, you're going to love this, right? So about 9 months later, this is before mobile phones. So my house phone in Hounslow rang. And the person that answered it, because we was like 15-year-olds living there. And they went, there's a guy called Pete on the phone for you. And I was like, okay, good. So I grabbed the phone and I went, hey. He went, it's Pete Wiley. I went, how you doing, Pete? You all right, yeah? Yeah, good, yeah. He said, what are you doing at the weekend? I said, nothing. He said, do you want to come to Paris? I went, yeah. I said, for what? He said, the Mighty Wah and the Beat are supporting the Clash.
No.
Wait for it, lads. He said, yeah, we're supporting the Clash for 8 nights in a row in the centre of Paris. 8 nights. Sold out. Bang. I went, right. He said, what, do you want to come? I went, yeah. I said, but how do I get in? He went, what you do is get there somehow. Don't care how. He said, but when you get there, meet me back outside the backstage area. He said, and then you pretend you're a roadie, and then I'll walk you in and you carry some amps and look like you're a roadie. Right? And that is exactly what happened, right? So I go to Paris for like, I think it must have been about 15 quid or something, right? Get to Paris. I'm there a day early. So I slept in the Gare du Nord. I remember that. I slept in it. Wow. Because I had nowhere to go, right? Mm-hmm. So I slept in it. Then went, whatever, and I tried to count the hours when thinking, when can I show up at the venue and not look uncool and all calm and I'm with the crew and I should mingle and whatever. So I get out the backstage area and there's Pete and he goes, Owen, can you get me that blah? And he points, he just pointed at something. I don't even know what it was, right? A symbol or something. They went, grab me that blah, blah. And then he walked me straight in, right? Now they're giving me the passes. Yeah. Right? No, it gets better. This story is even better, right? So now I'm doing the crew stuff for the Mighty Wah, right?
Oh, right, okay.
Right? See where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm doing that. First couple of nights, I'm like getting this amp and I'm that and I'm putting the mic in and I'm doing the trolley and I'm doing the thing, helping with the crew, cables, tuning, whatever it is, right? Pete wants a guitar tuned, I'm your guy. Boom. Hand it to him. I look like I'm part of the crew, which I'm not, because he couldn't afford crew in his life, right? So anyway, after about 4 nights, Mick Jones comes up with me and goes, can you get my amp? I went,
yes, I can.
Yes, sir.
Smiley, I said it quicker than that.
Well,
I was like, I'll be right back. So then I disappeared, right? And I had to go and figure out which was his amp. It was some Ampeg thing, right? And whatever. And they gave me it out of the van and the truck and thing. Brought it up, put it in, got his mic in front of it. I think it was a AKG, something that he liked and something else. And he liked a Fender twin reverb. So I got that beside it. I made it look like I was his guy, right? Then I became his guy.
No way. You never told me this.
So now I'm doing the last 5 shows. I am the Mick Jones from The Clash with Joe Strummer. Joe Strummer singing in front of me every night, and Mick Jones looked at me going, "Where's my and I run on the stage, put the thing in, come back, do it again.
You never told me that.
Yeah, that really happened.
Amazing.
That's fantastic. What era of the Clash was that
then? Radio Clash.
Yeah.
Combat Rock.
Yeah.
This is Radio Clash. Dun, 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 dun. They were still doing Sansanista and those things.
That's amazing, man. There you go. There's something else we got in common. We both sat behind Strummer.
Yeah.
You know
Joe Strummer, right? The first guy I ever saw in my life, right, with gaffer tape on his wrist. And I wondered what that was for, right? Until I saw him do the first 2 or 3 shows in Paris. And because of the way he plays, he's so aggressive.
Yeah. He hits
as you know, he's ripping his skin to pieces and there's blood everywhere. There was blood all over his he was a Telecaster guy, right? It was all over his Telecaster, and then next night he just gaff it up and go again, and then the blood would pour out and he'd do it again.
Later in life, he moved on to a sweatband.
I thought he was an amazing performer guy. He lived and breathed every moment of every song.
I've said it before, Owen, and I've been lucky enough to play with a lot of really cool people, but there aren't many legends, genuine legends.
Oh, he is one. He is one.
And he's
no question.
One, and every musician, because it wasn't just about him as a person, it was about the time and the movement, and he was such a pivotal part, but everybody wanted to be him. I've said this before, whenever we played festivals, like our dressing room would be just a who's who of people because they just wanted to meet Strummer.
But I think I know why that is. I think when obviously he does, you make the records, you make your album, whatever it is, and then you go on tour and you have to perform that night after night after night after night, right? And some people go, it must be terrible singing the same song every night or the same songs every night, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think Joe Strummer ever did that. I think every night he lived it.
I agree. I agree. 100%.
And I think that is what connects.
Yeah.
If you're like, I mean, for example, I used to do. There's another shocking story. You'll be ashamed of me, Smiley.
Never.
When I was a consultant on the X Factor, right?
Okay, now you've gone downhill.
I never knew that.
Just remember, at this point, we're friends. Just be very careful.
And I know I'm treading very dodgy here, right? So when I was in consultant on the X Factor, right, I used to work with the singers before it was ended up on telly. Okay? So I'd get the auditionees, see them before they're going to go and see the judges, right?
Oh, wow. I never knew
okay?
That.
So I would then coach them and say, this is good, this is bad, you might want to try and stand like this or don't, whatever. My most famous one, Smiley, you'll be very proud.
Go on.
My piece of advice to...
Will you? Oh, no, don't start.
Oh, Gareth
Gates. Please tell me it was Gareth Gates and you said you want to play on that stutter, mate. That'll get you to number 1.
No.
Will Young.
No.
Was it Leona Lewis?
Stop right there. So I then saw this girl on the VHS because I got all the VHSs, then I'd whittle them down, then give the best ones to the producers and the researchers. Hand it over. And I then put a note beside it saying, this is the girl that's going to win it. And it was Leona Lewis.
It was Leona, yeah.
Yeah.
Star. Yeah.
Right?
Star, man.
So I said, this girl's going to win it. That's in my post-it note, right?
Wow.
Sent it in, whatever. Then Simon or somebody else involved in the show says, we want you to come to our pre-rehearsal before she does the audition on telly. So I did, right? So I sat there and I don't know her at all. She's just a girl and she's good and she sings amazing and blah. Mm-hmm. But I noticed that she stands very funny, I thought, right? And I only gave her one piece of advice.
Don't stand funny.
Close your legs.
Oh, really?
And that's all I said.
Oh my God. Oh, there were so many gags we could go down there.
And the rest is history.
I tried to think what you said to Sam Smith then.
Anyway. No comment. But that's what I said to her. I said, when you're doing the audition, close your legs.
Wow.
That was it.
Amazing.
I said nothing about her singing, about her performance. But I'll tell you the sad part, right? When you do a job like that, is that one of the most basic elements, and I'm going back to Joe Strummer here, which is why that story is connected, right? Is that there'd be a million contestants that I'd say, do you know what the song you're singing is about? They go, no. I say, well, take this sheet of paper with the lyrics on, go back out, think about that. I said, you don't need to know what the writer thinks. You decide what that's about, then come back and sing it again.
Well, that's what they always say throughout the whole thing. Is like, I don't, you've seen so many.
We have no idea.
I don't believe, I'm not.
I don't believe what you're saying. Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
So I would say to them, right, this is okay. Notes are brilliant. Everything's perfect pitch, blah. I said, but do you know what that means? They go, nah. I go, well, you know what? I said, why don't you go out with that lyric sheet? You decide. I said, I don't care what you think McCartney thought it was about. I don't care what Paul Simon thought it was about. Whatever song you're singing, I don't care. You decide what you think that's about, then come back and sing it to me and tell it to me like I'm listening to you the first time.
That's it.
That is
music in one sentence.
That is to me what Joe Strummer did every night.
Absolutely.
He's telling me a tale about something that means something real every time. Like for me, the listener, as if it's the first time he's ever said it.
And that to me goes full circle to what we said an hour ago about a front man owning a show, creating the vibe of the night and making that show a one-off and people going away going, that was amazing, because that's what proper frontmen do. And that's why you're up with all the others that I've worked with. So I don't mean that cheesily. I mean it because I mean it. So I'm going to knock it on the head now as well. What a great way to end. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm absolutely gobsmacked by that, but there you go.
But mate, listen, we've been friends for a long time, and it's a pleasure to have you on. And I knew that you had so many good stories. I didn't know half of them though. They were great. I've
got another one.
You got a quick one. You got 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes.
Okay, I've got one more. Right. So 1985 or 86, something like that. I'm signed to Sony Records. The boss, Mufflin, would somehow like me, but I wasn't selling any records. But he came in, he said, come in and listen to this. He said, George Michael's leaving Wham, but he's only recorded one song because he's so lazy and smokes too much dope. Blah. And he said, you've got this, but we don't think it's a single. What are we going to do? And he plays the track. He plays a little old cassette machine. And the first line is, I see love is a magical thing. I paused it, trying not to erase the cassette. I went, Muff, are you fucking kidding me? I said, you are the boss of Sony International and you fucking don't think that's a fucking smash? I said, you're in the wrong fucking job.
Wow.
I said, not only is that a smash, I said, that is the song that's going to take him from being pop guy.
I was going to say, that's the one that bounced him up. There you go.
He played that to me in his office, in a cassette, bang. That was my words of advice, and I left the room.
There you go. Well, if you were looking for something to put on your gravestone, there you go. I created George Michael. There you go. Owen, mate, listen, it's a pleasure. Keep in touch because we need to do some gigs together.
Of course.
Thanks so much for being on. And thank you, everybody listening. And thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Pete.
The podcast.